As we all know, there was a concept called slave trade. The concept called slave trade. Trade. Trade means the combination of imports and exports. They import items, they export items. These two together is called trade or business. When we talk about slave trade, the people of Africa are being sold to work in America, in the fields of America actually, to become like a slaves. Actually, these people are forced to migrate from here and they were sold off to the Americans. This happened during the 17th century. As the 17th century time, many Negroes or blacks, maybe officially or constitutionally it's not right to name them now, let us call them as the dark skinned people. So the dark skinned people are forced to migrate or sold out to US, and after 200 years we found many people in US is a mixture of the dark skinned people and the fair skinned people. As the time passed on, generations passed on, they also started to get married, they also started to procure children, they also started to settle down in the US. Now the combination of US have a population of blacks and whites. So the discrimination of blacks and whites has started been existing for centuries from 18th century. So the agitation was started by Martin Luther King Jr. The movement name is Civil Rights Movement. So Martin Luther King in an international gathering, it's a very huge gathering which grasped the attention of almost all sections of people in US, where more than 2 lakh people gathered together and where Martin Luther King gave a historical speech. I have a dream in which my 4 children will be recognized because of their capabilities and not because of the skin color, because of their character, because of their talent, because of the ability to do work, not on the basis of their birth, not on the basis of their skin color, not on the basis of any other discrimination for which they were not at all responsible. Let us think in practically, we can not judge to which nation we can be born or in which color we have to be. These are the things which certainly happen in nature where we have zero control over that. Now moving on to the concept of our lesson of diversity into democracy. When the agitation started in US against the existing racial discrimination, or let us call it a further word, that is apartheid, where the blacks are considered as literally non-human beings. They considered as dogs. They were not given any kind of respect or dignity of human nature, what today we call certain human rights, certain civil rights, which were completely denied for the black people. So in order to drag the attention of the world towards the existing problems in US, an incident happened in US, that too in the Olympic Games. Olympic Games are considered as the most crucial or a international forum where different nations athletes join together, participate, and they feel it as a pride to take even a medal from that particular stage or a podium. Even India had got 1 gold medal. So many of the Indians felt very proud when India got such a gold medal from the athletic stadiums, that is like Olympics. So it's a huge, the largest games conducted stage for an international level, that is Olympics. So now these Olympics are initially started by the Greek people. It was in the ages of around 1932 to 1936. Later on, due to the Second World War, they were blocked, and later again they were re-implemented. Finally, the incident happened in Mexico in 1968. Let's have a look at that. A story of Mexico Olympics. What happened actually at the Mexico Olympics? There are many black people, there are many whites, there are many other national individuals, representatives coming together to participate in the Mexican Olympics. During the year 1968, Mexico hosted the Olympic International Games. So we have two people from US, Tommy Smith and John Carlos. These two are black US citizens. And we also have Peter Norman. He is an Australian. He received the second prize. The scene is that the first prize and the third prize are shared by Tommy Smith and John Carlos. Peter Norman, the second prize winner. All these three were called to the podium to receive their prizes, and they were standing there. They are representing their nations, and it is a pride and a honor to stand there and receive the medal. So when the situation is going on like this, when the moment was in progress, Tommy Smith and John Carlos stood up with the fists closed and raised, the clenched fist, and without having shoes, just only putting on the socks, which is a clear pact or a show of there is some kind of discrimination existing here. So they want to showcase that. Even the Peter Norman, the Australian athlete, also kept a badge of human rights to showcase that this is an international forum where they thought if we would try to make an impact or bring to light what is actually happening in US, that would grab the attention of the international community, so that the pressure from the international community would mount the existing US government to liberalize the policies and to remove the discrimination or racial discrimination issues and finally sort out the issue. But there was a clear show in the 1968 Olympic stage where Tommy Smith, John Carlos and Peter Norman were standing and raising their voices against the existing racial discrimination in US. Why would you think? Let us take here, these two are basically from US. So they were actually facing a problem of the racial discrimination. But why did Peter supported this one? Peter Norman was neither a part of US nor having faced any kind of discrimination or racial superiority or inferiority complex because of this scene. But he also gave his support very clearly on that podium. So what does this actually mean? What do they want here actually? What they actually want here is to end up the racial discrimination existing in US. They also wanted to bring it into light, the actual problem, what they were facing from many years, many generations, and they also want to get an international support for the existing civil rights movement and to end the policy of apartheid or the racial discrimination. So this is an incident which clearly explains for us there is diversity in the group of people in the existing population sector. There is a discrimination basing on the population. So because of this incident which happened in the story of Mexico Olympics in 1968, the consequences of this are not at all good. The actual consequences which they faced were really very difficult and very tough. Yes, they have to forego their careers, they have to forego their bright futures, but in the actual practically they are the best human beings. Even we, when we are standing there with such a pride and honor there, we would never dare to do such kind of things on an international forum where it has raised a mount of oppression or a mount of criticism against the actions or the fringing of the act or bending down the heads, going on without shoes, just putting on these socks and going on there, and Peter Norman putting the black badge, mentioning that there is something wrong going on here. So all these things have escalated kind of controversy over the two US citizens and also Peter Norman, the Australian person athlete. So finally, the conclusions or the consequences of this are Tommy Smith and John Carlos were claimed to be that they have raised an internal matter of United States in the place where they have not supposed to raise anything on an international forum. They were severely criticized not only by the International Olympic Committee but also severely criticized by the people. Yes, certain sections of people have really appreciated their efforts. They have blessed them with their blessings, but they have to forego their careers. And Peter Norman has also have to face some consequences. Peter Norman was not selected for the Olympic team in the next year, for the next term actually. When the next Olympics were conducted in 1972, Peter Norman has to be the part of that, but not given a chance to be a part of that because of his action which he has done in the Mexico Olympics in 1968. These all were the consequences of the daring step what they have taken during that time. But in reality, they were very, very happy people because they have brought into real light what is actually happening in US. They are facing a severe criticism of racial discrimination which they have experienced thoroughly, and for that, as an athlete, he felt what is the pain the other athletes are going on. Peter Norman also extended his helping hand with a full cooperation, got the international support for the movement of civil rights movement which is happening in its peak in the United States. So this has escalated the movement, and this brings us to light that we have discrimination existing not only in one place, not only in one corner, not only in the countries where there is less development, but also in the corners of the world where they are claimed to be a highly developed nations and they follow completely the most advanced techniques and technologies. But in actual reality, there are discriminations. There is a diversified group in all corners of the world where democracy has to accommodate this challenge and find out the best possible solutions which are available for us constitutionally, legally, and providing equality for everybody. So here, after this action, it has claimed an international attention and everybody started to raise their voices against the existing problem of racial discrimination in the United States. So this has given for us the people to be the best human beings who have raised their voices, and the further later consequence was that the San Jose State University, of which Tommy Smith and John Carlos were the members, the students in the university in 2006, kept the statues of the same scene with the 20 feet height statues with the clenched fist and the socks, only with the socks and not with the shoes, have shown a focus like they are the great brave step in order to end the racial discrimination. They have used the international forum to bring to light the ongoing atrocities and the basic divisions. So this has happened by the San Jose University. They have recognized them, and also when Peter Norman passed away, the two people who went to attend the funeral and with the pallbearers were Tommy Smith and John Carlos. So in this way, they are better human beings who faced certain problems but brought into light certain difficulties, certain atrocities which are happening against them in the society, not only with them but a larger section of people who are facing troubles, and finally they were able to succeed in reality. So let's find out how the solutions have come up.
If you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Please subscribe to our channel to get more videos on CBSE syllabus.